Look, I'm a mathematician by trade. That led me into the fund management world. What people call us in to do is help them build their businesses, take it to the next stage. I fell in love with the small business market. But when I start with chatting to businesses, I use this formula: valuation is profit times multiple. So I say to them, pull out your business plan, let's have a look at the first page. Is your first page dedicated towards increasing the profit or increasing the multiple? And the response I normally get back is increasing the profit. And I go, great, let's have a look at the second page. Is the second page dedicated towards increasing the profit or increasing the multiple? And the response I normally get back is profit. And I go, we're up to page 83, is this profit or multiple? And they go, profit. What I say to people is, look, the valuation of your business is a formula. It's profit times multiple. And in the corporate world, I say to them, well, why don't you put any effort into increasing the multiple? And they generally say, because we don't think we can influence it. And I say, well, look, my whole mathematical world was calculating the multiple. That's where I come from. And if you can calculate something mathematically, there must be ingredients that go into it, which means you must be able to influence it. And the multiple to me are the assets that sit within your business. And they're business assets, not the assets that sit on the balance sheet. But if I can work out what their off-balance sheet assets are, all these things that calculate the multiple, then I can work out what the value of the business is. How much effort are you increasing the business assets that sit there within the business? And so I talk about the brand, and I talk about the products, and I talk about channel extensions, and I talk about management systems that sit within it. And these are all the things that increase the multiple. Look, this multiple thing is something most people don't think about. But in February 2007, I got all our clients in a room, and I said, look, in July, the world's going to go into custard, and it'll stay there for about 5 years. It's going to be a big one, it's not going to be a small one. And I said, look, you need to change your strategy, you need to stop recruiting, you need to cash up. These are all the things that you need to do. Even in July 2007, when the market started to go south, everyone just assumed it was just a blip and the world was still in boom mode. And there's me standing up there with about this many clients in a room saying, you need to change, you need to stop. And the thing that I left them with was that every other time that it's taken, the average statistic for selling a home in the United States, as soon as that average statistic hits 9 months, then the whole world goes into a global recession. Every time that average statistic's gone north of 9 months, the whole world's gone into a global recession. And in the fund management world, what we do is we use these things called rules of thumb, which are affectionately known as a rule of thumb. So there's this rule of thumb called 9 months, which becomes deadly accurate because everyone follows the rule of thumb. So, and stupidly, I can remember the old days when I used to do it. If it was 8 months and 29 days, no one would move any money around. But as soon as it hit 9 months, like that was it. We used to just sell portfolios down overnight, put it all into cash, etc., etc. Once you hit that low, so if you can see that second dip up there towards the end, see how that hasn't gone down below the previous one? Right, so there's a rule of thumb that says that one will never go below the previous one. And if you just do straight mathematics and put a ruler across there, that number was 91% of the way down below the other number. And so I said, look, everyone's sitting around the world at the moment going 91% of the way down, you get in before it hits 100 because it's not going to hit 100, so about a week. Now, here's another rule of thumb: if that goes down 52%, it'll jump back up 52%. So for all the mathematicians in the room, if 100 goes down 52% 48, it goes up 52% on 48, it can go back up to 100. So I said, look, it'll go back up, it'll take about 6 months. Why? Because it's a rule of thumb that 6 months. Why does it always work in these cycles? Because reporting periods are 3 monthly. If you change the reporting periods to 4 monthly, all this cycle will change completely. I use this as a benchmark for the economy because the economy follows this by 6 months. And the economy, the real economy, is us, it's businesses. So this is giving us a lead indicator as to what we can do with our businesses. There's three basic recessions that occur in the world. There's an L, a V, and a W. And the L looks like a phonetic L, so it's straight down and then a long cross. The famous one that everyone talks about is Japan. But the real one to have a look up there is the 1987 one, which is towards the end here, and you'll see straight down and then across for about 18 months. And L's are easy because they're literally straight down. If you look at these latter ones, can you see they're on a 45-degree slide? They're not on a straight down. So a V is down on a 45 and then back up. And a W is not a phonetic W, it's down on a 45 and it's back up like a W, but then there's this big flat period in the middle. So a lot of people reading newspapers and going, it's going to be a W with a double dip, thought it was going to be up, point, and then straight back down again. And that's not how we understand a W. W is down up to a point and now it's a long. So I then said, so look, here's March 09, up 6 months, September 09, add 2 years, that's September 11, back down 6 months, March 2012. So way back in 2007, I said, the end of the first quarter, 2012, will be the announcement of the double dip. There's a rule of thumb, which is called, there's only 2 dips, there's not 3. Well, that means we're closer to the end of this recession than we are the beginning. There's the good news. That 5-year run is basically, it's run its course. Right? There's only 2 countries in the world that didn't go into debt: Poland and Australia. Haven't been in a recession for 20 years. Neither of those countries. There's 4 countries in the world that are already back in surplus now. 4 already back in surplus. So there's plenty of signs around the world to say that there is other countries out there that are doing okay. And so for the entrepreneurs, what I've been saying is, when you start investing in your business now, just think logically, when you take on new staff, or you open a new premise, or you open a new office or a new country or something, those investments don't automate into a return tomorrow morning. And so if we're towards the end of this period, we've had the double dip, and you invest £1 today, then you start to see a return on that in 12, 18 months from now, yes? And then if you line that up with the economics up here, then it's going to line up with when the economy's picking back up again. If you go, I'm going to wait now until I read a newspaper which says that things are okay, well, things are okay in a historical context. GDP reporting is done in a 3-month and 6-month historical context. So by the time you get the news that things are okay, the growth has already started. And so if you're one of the business entrepreneurs out there that's waiting for good news now, well, you're going to miss the first bit of the upturn. And so I'm encouraging entrepreneurs right now, now's the time to go. But this basically looks at the life cycle of a business in a pretty simple construct. And so right over there on the left-hand side is day 1 when you first start the business. And then you work your way through on a time scale. And so time here is not bound. And I built this in my old fund management days to be able to walk into a business and spot where I was up to up here. Because there's only 2 places on here where I actually invest in businesses. The rest of it I leave it alone. But go back to this, and what I'm going to do then is link this to where the economy's up to. So when people say, where are we up to? What should I do with my business right now? Well, my linkage is with this chart. And so very quickly, you'll see some red stuff on the bottom there, and that's all the feelings in a business. And then you hit the first brick wall where you invest, and that investment creates all the growth. So you invest with confidence at that point, get all the staff in, get machines in, get whatever in, and this growth comes through. Now the growth kicks through, that's that second phase. And you'll notice the word down there called good times. Now good times is where the owner is incrementally building the business month in, month out, year in, year out. And then you suddenly hit payback. Payback's where all the fast growth comes through. It's where you've now got lots of clients doing $1 million and $2 million, and all of a sudden, you look back and you go, wow, we're here. And overnight, I went from being an entrepreneur and being out there dealing with clients and doing all this fun stuff to suddenly having to deal with staffing issues, IT issues, tax problems, legal issues, staff leaving me, clients ringing up and complaining. And the entrepreneur goes from front office to back office, and they absolutely hate it. And the business keeps growing, and you move from frustration out to stress, and at stress point you go, how the hell did I get into this business? Why did I get into this business? Why do we make more money when we're smaller, etc., etc. And you hit what I call the second brick wall. And the second brick wall for most entrepreneurs, they take 3 to 7 years to get through it, and it's a high stress phase. I'm passionate now around going around and stopping entrepreneurs from hitting that bloody second brick wall and hurting themselves. But if they get through it, then they go up to hopefully advanced growth, which is the proud part. And up there you get equity growth, you get equity profits. This is where you make the big money. If you want to write the word utopia down, this is utopia. The third brick wall is where the entrepreneur gets bored and says, I'm going to go and borrow a heap of money and go onto a big M&A and buy something really big and become super duper. And then go and get NISAs and do all sorts of good stuff and open up charities, and that's the third brick wall. A lot of businesses that were down in good times and payback and early stage frustration hit the recession and will artificially run up to that second brick wall. It changed everything for them. like sales dropped off and clients dropped off and staff redundancies, and they might have been 10 years away from hitting the wall naturally. And this big 5-year recession hit, and they got artificially pushed up to that second brick wall. And so if you take that second brick wall now and overlay it with a W, well, of course, if you get out of that second brick wall in time for the uplift, you get the whole uplift. If you're still in the second brick wall when the economy takes off next year, then you're still in a lot of pain and still trying to work out how to restructure the business, and you won't take advantage of the uplift. So people say to me, what's the one single biggest thing I can do from a business right now? I go, it's called timing. You have to get your business at the exact right stage of its own growth cycle to line up with the economic growth cycle. And in that way, you'll get the next 7-year growth run and you'll make quite a lot of money. If you miss it by a couple of years and you invest 12 months after the cycle starts and get out of the second brick wall 12 months after that, you'll only get 3 years of a 7-year cycle. And that's a lot of profit you're about to miss out on. The single biggest thing you can do right now is timing. You don't want to do that one. That would just be horrendous. That's called missing the whole run type stuff. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Darren.